I'm Robert Chirabonyo and welcome to Good Morning Uganda Agenda. Today we are going to be discussing a bit of science, and that is Earth observation data. And we are going to be looking at the role of Earth observation data in achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I'm having a scientist with me in studios, and I expect to be joined by still other scientists, that is via technology, the Zoom, and we'll be communicating. Mukiibi,
yes,
a lovely morning to you.
Good morning to you, sir.
It's nice having people who discuss Earth observation data and science.
Well, I think with the advancement of technology and how Earth observation can be used in implementing SDG goals or Sustainable Development Goals, I think it's one of the very interesting topics that is currently shaping the future of computer science or artificial intelligence in particular.
We'll talk about, first to begin with, Earth observation data. What are we referring to for a person who's watching this show and is wondering, Earth observation, then data?
So what Earth observation means is gathering information about the Earth. That is physical, chemical, and biological components. And this can be done through remote sensing. Now, when we talk about remote sensing, we mean satellite imagery or components that are on the ground.
How does this apply to a lay person? Where do I see this matter in my life?
So let's take an example of Uber, for example, or Safe Border. So when you order for an Uber ride, one of the things that Uber enables the driver to do is pick the shortest route. Now, how does the driver pick the shortest route? Because Uber has an application which determines which is the shortest route, and this is done using Earth observation data on the application. So as a lay person who takes Uber every day, it applies. If you're using Safe Border, it does apply. Then we also have a person who is in the village practicing farming. How can you improve on your farming? So one of the things that Earth observation does is you can get, for example, quality of minerals in the soil, the type of soil, and this can help you plan going forward. So these are some of the things where we use Earth observation on a day-to-day, but we might not know that that's actually what we're using.
Well, this is more of scientists and how best we can ensure that we benefit this from science. But I also want to welcome, that is Dr. Alemohammad, who is joining us from the United States of America, also a scientist and a chief, that is a data scientist for Radiant Earth. But a lovely morning to you, comrade, watching us and joining us from the United States.
Hello and good morning.
Good morning to you. Well, as we continue to, so you're most welcome. We are discussing Earth observation data this morning, and just to take us through how is this relevant actually to an ordinary person that is watching us this morning.
Yeah, so I mean, you can think about a farmer, for example. Let's pick up agriculture as an application. Satellite imagery and, broadly speaking, Earth observation can provide information on like crop health that can translate to a decision for the farmer, whether there is like a pest or disease in their farm. Or you can think about actually many of the weather forecasting information we receive daily on the news, on cell phone, on the websites. All of those are powered by Earth observation, and we regularly monitor various basically variables of the Earth, whether it's in the atmosphere, of the weather, whether it's underground, from land cover, from cropland, or we can think about urban mapping. Many of the maps we see in regular applications, Ivan just talked about Uber, are empowered by Earth observation data. So in our daily life, we are already using those information.
Well, I'll now move to Ghana, where we have also a young man, that is Yayra de Souza, he's one of the students that are studying Earth observation. And of course, this is a global network that is aimed at promoting science. Now let's move to Ghana. This is another part of the African continent where Earth observation is something that you're focusing at. Well, Yayra, are you able to get me?
Yes, yes. Hello. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning to you. Let me get you right. Ghana is one of the countries in Africa, and we are targeting Earth observation in achieving, that is the UN Sustainable Development Goals. How have you handled this in that particular part of Africa?
Thank you very much. Basically, Earth observation is a field that is gaining a lot of interest in Africa because of the potential it can provide in achieving many things, notably food security prediction. So by using satellite imagery, it's possible to really model food production and be able to predict if there will be drought or not. So it's gaining ground, and this workshop really gave a lot of perspectives in that regard.
Welcome back to Mukiibi here. Also, we've seen that, yes, globally, this is the way forward. It is all about Earth observation. But we've seen that for development countries, this science has not yet been well prioritized. If you look at education institutions, if you look at even the ordinary farmer, to know that there's this technology that I can use to benefit and improve my yields, improve how I do business. How can we promote this?
So one thing, like you've just mentioned, we know that there's a skills gap as far as Earth observation is concerned. That is one thing. And that is exactly what we were trying to do with the bootcamp. One of the pillars of GIZ as far as AI is concerned is to ensure there's technical know-how on AI. And this bootcamp,
that is artificial intelligence. Yes.
This bootcamp was in line with our goal of promoting technical know-how. So that is why we held the bootcamp, in order to promote the use of artificial intelligence in Africa, so that we can be able to solve some of the sustainable development goals as stipulated by United Nations.
When we look at this mostly involved lecturers, students at university, and Uganda is one of the countries where we've had breakthroughs, major findings, but these remain at conferences and remain at the high level, yet we don't get them down to the ordinary person to benefit from them.
So the model that we are currently using is, apart from the bootcamp where we're transferring knowledge, we have an initiative where we'll be using Earth observation. An example of a pilot project that is currently taking place in Uganda is using satellite data to identify different places where the government can install mini-grids. Now, once that is done...
Mini-grids, what are you referring to?
So when we talk about mini-grids, we mean, for example, solar energy. So mini-grids enable us to use solar energy so that we can power areas in Uganda that are not powered. So for this project, for example, it's a pilot project, and once it takes shape, we'll gather startups, and the models which will be used in this pilot will also be pushed to the people down. So these would be farmers, startups, and then also, like you're saying, we're already pushing this to people in universities and startups using the bootcamp.
Well, that will be then another achievement, because when you look at Earth observation and a number of projects being carried out in Uganda, also if you go to Makerere University, these indeed transform lives of Ugandans. But the biggest challenge is, how do this ordinary person get to understand and benefit from this? Now let's look at elements of gadgets also that are used.
Yeah.
If we are targeting the ordinary person, one of the issues, one would require a smartphone.
Yes.
One would require at least knowledge on how to move around with some of these technologies. Uganda, looking at our illiteracy levels and also the poverty levels, how are you going to make a breakthrough?
So one of the institutions that we've partnered with is actually Makerere University. So they have one solution where you can identify pests and diseases or classify crops. And with this project, they've already pushed it to farmers. So farmers can access cheap phones. So you don't need a very high-end phone, but it needs to be a smartphone. So we partner with Makerere and Naro. And with this, we are able to go in the villages and take this solution to the end users, who in this case is farmers.
This is a global network involving a number of countries. I know of Uganda, Ghana, the United States, about 4 or 5. But when we look at our advantage over these countries, if we are to really understand how best we can benefit as a country, Ivan, where do we stand as Uganda?
So, if you look at AI and Earth observation, it's a relatively new field, and Africa in general is underrepresented as far as the use of Earth observation in science. So we are trying to ensure that that is not the case, and that is why we are promoting the use of these technologies. We are ensuring that the skills gap is shortened in order that Uganda and the rest of the countries which we've partnered with can actually be at the forefront of implementing these technologies.
Well, I'll go to our colleague in that is Ghana, that is Yerube, who is with us on Zoom. Looking at a country like Ghana, of course it's another country in Africa, but this Earth observation information, how have you ensured it sinks down to the ordinary farmer to benefit from it?
Very well. There, as Ivan mentioned, it's a new area of interest, especially in Africa, even though it's well advanced in other developed economies. There are a lot of startups moving in that field of helping farmers, small-scale farmers, increase their productivity. So this observation data goes in the direction of helping increase productivity for these small-scale farmers. In other words, in using Earth observation data, we are giving the farmers an upper hand in making sure that they can get more revenue from their production also, even if they are small-scale farmers, because we can predict the yield using the data. And this is the power of artificial intelligence, which has not been used before.
Talking about something that has not been used before, knowledge is now available and we know they'll get to understand. But how prepared are they to benefit from this? Because mostly we know who our farmers are. A big number of them are in subsistence agriculture and not commercial, so they may not be well suited for earnings that are involved in this science.
In fact, small-scale farmers, their bottom line is to increase productivity, because increased productivity means more revenue, more sustainability for their families. So, in partnering with startups in agribusiness, there is a lot of support being provided to small-scale farmers to leverage on this technology. Of course, they cannot do it alone, but then with the right support, they are able to take decisions based on information gathered through Earth observation, where they can predict if their crops are getting diseased, and in such case, they can quickly take action to rectify. If because of the climate change, there are certain things, or there are other factors affecting their production, they can quickly raise alert or alarm, and the government can also use the same information to give better assistance to the small-scale farmers. So it's an ecosystem that is being enriched with this information.
I'll go to Dr. Ahmed Alemohammad, who is in the United States. Thank you for being with us. When we talk about the relevance of data, of course, Ivan and students there from Ghana have rightly put the benefits. But how do we ensure that really African countries appreciate this? We know climate change is a problem, and this is knowledge that we need. How do we ensure we appreciate this to adopt it and prioritize it in our agriculture sector?
Yeah, very good question. I want to build on what Yayra mentioned, that it needs to be an ecosystem. So it is not just one individual player solving all the problems there, right? And one of the key aspects of this ecosystem is the skill set and the kind of workforce that has the knowledge and the skill sets to solve the local problems. And that's why we, with GIZ and the Makerere University, basically we're working on this bootcamp to basically train a sustainable group of scientists and practitioners who are also becoming trainers themselves. So the focus was on being a training of trainers. So people who are getting trained on how to use this satellite imagery and AI technologies to address problems like agricultural monitoring, and then train others down the road in this ecosystem to expand the knowledge and the skill set so that they can become part of the problem-solving puzzle across the continent. I think the key aspect is, and this is the mission that Radiant has, is to provide those resources and knowledge and best practices to the people who are in country to solve those problems, right? That is the key aspect. Empower those startups, organizations, even the government agencies who are kind of managing the ecosystem to be able to better use the satellite data. There are a lot of these satellite data and Earth observation that are open access. So there's no barrier in terms of purchase, but there's a barrier of technology and a skill set, and that's what we are trying to solve with open standards and best practices and trainings. And I think that the goal of this bootcamp, and we really appreciate GIZ's support and sponsorship of that, was to target an existing kind of talent within these 4 countries, Rwanda, Uganda, Ghana, and South Africa, that have some introductory knowledge about artificial intelligence, but bring them into, what is Earth observation? How can better use Earth observation with AI and address many key challenges that can address the Sustainable Development Goals. We talked about agriculture, but poverty is one of them. Climate change is another term. Oceans and kind of water quality and a lot of the disaster response kind of applications can also benefit from these technologies.
Let me get this from you. These are projects that usually come and go, but the biggest challenge remains continuity. Uganda have been blessed with a couple of projects, but what happens is when this project comes to the end, we find that there's lack of funds, maybe lack of interest, and this knowledge, then there is no continuity. How are you ensuring that aiming at the farmer benefiting from Earth observation, there is continuity even when a program expires?
Yeah, you have a very good point. That is kind of a pattern, unfortunately, across many of the development sector projects. So what we do, I mean, we are a nonprofit organization, so our mission is really focusing on these ecosystem problems. And for that reason, we don't do projects. We don't go to a country and build a precision agriculture or a decision-making app for a farmer. We really help users on the ground, startups, other multilateral organizations and government offices like the Department of Agriculture and Extension offices to build those applications locally using local talent and provide the solution to the local user, which is the farmer. I think that's the key to the success, using the existing resources, both the human side and the financial side, and then the knowledge and the best practices that is available globally to build local solutions for the local problems.
So much. That is Dr. Ahmed Alemohammad, who is a technical advisor and of course the executive director of Radiant Earth Uganda, that deals with Earth data observation to ensure they boost various sectors, but particularly this time was in the field of agriculture. And I want to thank also Yayra de Souza, who is one of the students that were attending some of these trainings that happened in 4 countries via, of course, Zoom because of the times of the pandemic. Thank you so much for being part of us. As I wind up, I'll come back to you, Mukiibi.
Yes, sir.
Well, we all accept that the world is changing. Science is taking precedent, and this is the only way we can do things better. We can predict, know what is happening, how we can divert these dangers. But I want to get your final remarks regarding ensuring that the public and also the government can appreciate this better?
So what we are trying to do to ensure that is through, one, like I mentioned, we already have partnerships with Makerere and we access farmers. But in addition to that, we are doing this with the government. Okay. So we are also interacting with the Ministry of ICT. If you are aware, the Ministry of ICT has already a draft for the 4th Industrial Revolution. And one of the aspects that they're dealing with is artificial intelligence, where Earth observation actually comes in the picture. So this project is running with the government support. So both Ministry of ICT and Ministry of Agriculture.
I want to thank you so much. Mukiibi Ivan, who is a technical advisor at Artificial Intelligence. We've been looking at Earth observation data in achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals with more focus that is on agriculture. But we'll also have our final remarks from our colleagues that have been joining us this morning. Yes, beginning with Dr. Ahmed from the United States.
Yeah, no, first of all, I appreciate the time talking to you and your basically viewers. The last comment I will make is really this technology, the combination of artificial intelligence and Earth observation, is really a game changer for the 4th Industrial Revolution that Ivan just mentioned. It's basically leapfrogging to a different level of technology and being able to do monitoring and assessment at regional and national and even continental scale. So we really look forward to working with many partners and stakeholders on the ground and really empowering them to build those solutions and address many of the challenges and problems across the African continent.
Dr. Ahmed will now move to that is already in Ghana.
Thank you very much. For my last words, this bootcamp was a real opportunity to expand horizons in the field of artificial intelligence. You know, when you're studying artificial intelligence, especially in courses, we don't have real world experience, but this bootcamp really gave the opportunity to apply knowledge to real data sets collected from Africa. And this is the opportunity where we can also go out and share this knowledge with other people in the ecosystem, so that in a way expand the use of artificial intelligence globally in Africa. These are my last words, and thank you for having me.
So much. I want to thank you so much, those that have been joining through Zoom, and of course Mukiibi, Ivan, with whom we've been here in studio. Science is the way to go. We hope our African governments will prioritize that. Like Mukiibi said, the government of Uganda is doing that. But also the public, the farmers, the ordinary Ugandan will embrace science and know that things have changed. Science will help us predict, will help us fight some disasters, and of course boost yields in the field of agriculture. Have a lovely day. I'll leave you with Ruben Pima to take you through the world of sports. Jagana will be here for Good Morning Uganda Extra. But above all, stay safe. COVID is around, and don't forget, every day it seems the curve is just shooting more high. So do not be part of these statistics. God bless you.